everybody, it's Kira and welcome back to my channel. So today I have my reading wrap up and haul for, what month was it? March. I only bought 2 books this last month. This month should be a few more because it's my birthday this month, so I already have 1 present and I probably will have more because books are usually the only thing I ask for. But back in, I think January maybe, Barnes & Noble was doing a deal on pre-orders, and so I pre-ordered 2 books that came out this past month, and that is A Door in the Dark by Scott Rankin. So he wrote the Nixia trilogy that I really liked, that is a YA sci-fi. This one is magic-based. It's like a magic-based school, but somebody ends up dead. I actually just started reading it, so I'm this far in. But basically there's this girl named Ren who is really good at magic, but because she comes from she doesn't come from money, she's having a really hard time like getting into like one of the houses who are like the ones in charge after school. And then there's this guy, Theo Brood, who's like the son of one of the houses, and he's like awful so far. And then somebody ends up dead, and I don't really know much more other than that, but it's a cool fantasy, and I'm really liking it so far. The magic system is very interesting. So yeah, I don't really know what age range this is exactly, because she's talking about like graduate school, but like I don't know if that means the same thing in this series as it does for us. So it does feel like upper YA. It doesn't seem like 16, it seems more like 18, so I don't know, we'll see, but I'm really liking it and I'm excited to keep reading. And then we also have Stars and Smoke by Marie Lu. I'll be honest, I know nothing about this book. I just know Marie Lu was writing a new book. Oh, that's right, a superstar, a secret agent, a once-in-a-lifetime mission. That's right, okay. I did read the synopsis of this before I bought it, so it's obviously was something I would be interested in. Basically, there's a backup dancer turned global pop phenomenon. There's a private concert for a criminal tycoon, and so basically the guy has to go undercover. And then it's the girl that's posing as his bodyguard. I don't really know too much about it, but I'm excited. Story of my life with like any book ever. So yeah, those are all the books that I bought in the last month. So now we'll move into the books that I read. And we started off the month by rereading the entire Grisha trilogy by Leigh Bardugo. So I reread Shadow and Bone, Siege and Storm, and Ruin and Rising. So obviously I've read these before, and was reading them in anticipation, words are hard, for Season 2 of Shadow and Bone. I was very excited for the show and still am, very much loved it. Definitely took a very interesting turn that I wasn't expecting in the show, but I'm vibing with it, and I'm really hoping that it leads to a Six of Crows spinoff. But anyways, I did not remember like anything that happened in this book. And same with this one, honestly. Like I remembered the end battle and that was about it, and I remember Nikolai and like the very beginning of this book. But other than that, I was like, what the heck even happens in Siege and Storm? Which I know is kind of what a lot of people say, but still, it was really fun to be able to reread them. Also, in rereading Shadow and Bone, I realized like the first season of the show is like this book beat by beat. It's like a very, very good adaptation of this book, because I know the show like super well, so as I was rereading the book I was like, oh, like I can like see these playing out and I can like hear them saying these lines and stuff, and so I was very impressed in the reread of this. And then yeah, Nikolai remains the best new character out of these 2, although Tulia and Tamara are very close seconds because they are also amazing. Very curious to know what they would do with the 3rd season. I really hope they get a 3rd season because you can just tell that like the actors and the showrunners like really care about this story and this world and these characters. And I know a lot of people were kind of upset by the direction season 2 took, but I actually, upon further reflection, really, really liked it, and I'm just so curious as to what is going to happen in a 3rd season. The other thing is I did film a vlog slash reaction to the entire second season because I woke up at 2 a.m. to be able to watch it. However, it was originally going to be a vlog and then it kind of turned into live reactions because it's just me talking to the camera pretty much the whole time. So I haven't decided how I'm going to split up those videos yet, if I'm going to do episode by episode, if I'm going to combine some. Don't really know yet, so stay tuned for that. But yeah, reread these, just loved them. This world is so awesome. Speaking of awesome world, then I finished up the Lockwood & Co. book series with The Empty Grave. This destroyed me. Could not believe the things that we found out in this book. Like, we've kind of through, like, so in the first two, you're kind of like, the problem exists, the problem being ghosts. Like, the problem exists, but you're kind of like, like, don't really care. But then the end of book 3 and definitely into book 4, you're starting to be like, okay, there's something, like, seriously going on here. Why does the problem exist? And we have to figure this out. And then book 5 happens. Oh my gosh. Did not, like, expect exactly what was happening in some respects, but then also, like, there was one huge thing I did not expect to do with a certain person high up in power. Craziness what she was doing. Like, what the heck, lady? That was nuts. Like, Lockwood and Lucy's relationship in here, like, definitely in book 3 and 4 was definitely, like, not escalating, because that's the wrong word, but, like, you could see they were, like, building up tension. But, like, the scene in this one that really hurt me was when he takes her to his parents' grave. That, like, cut me deep. And also, like, the empty grave being that spot that's, like, left for him. Oh my gosh, what? And, like, the beginning part was actually really funny. I love that Kipps has kind of, like, joined the team now. There was also something that happens to George that I was like, excuse me? Like, you do not hurt George. Like, what are you doing? Really stressed me out. I really like how it was portrayed in the book, though, too. Like, everyone's reactions to it, too. The end battle was crazy. Yeah. It was so good. So there's another show for everybody to go watch. Lockwood & Co. on Netflix. It's an adaptation of books 1 and 2. There are 5 books in the series. I'm very glad to have finished it and honestly just want to reread them all over again. After that, I reread Catching Fire by Suzanne Collins. This was my audiobook reread. And oh my gosh, it's so good. Like, I feel like I don't have anything new to say about the Hunger Games series other than it's just so well done. It's crazy too, like, how much focus, when these books became movies, how much focus was put on the love triangle. And in rereading them, it's like, yeah, it exists, but, like, it's not, it's never the forefront of Katniss's mind. And I feel like it gets thrown out of proportion a lot in the movies, whereas in the books, she's just hanging on to, like, any threads of sanity that she can find. And, like, Peeta is the only person who really can understand what she's been through. And so, like, on the victory tour, she, like, goes to him because, like, he is the only thing that's comfortable there. And then the Quell, I also think it's really funny how, like, in rereading this, you can easily see that the other tributes are, like, working together and that there is a plan to get them out of the arena. But it's funny, in Katniss's point of view, she's just like, oh, that was kind of weird. And, like, why did they sacrifice themselves for Peeta? Like, they just must love him like I do. And I was like, girl, it's okay. Like, she's so unaware. It is a little funny in the reread, but yeah, it's just masterfully written and incredible, and I love this series so much. Alright, and then I finished up the month. I kind of got into a little bit of a reading slump in the middle there, but on the very last day of March, I managed to finish one more book, and that is I'm Glad My Mother Died by Jennette McCurdy. Now, I'd been waiting for this since I think November was when I put myself on the holds list at the library. There were so many so many holds on this book, and everyone was so right to want to read it. It is super challenging to read though, just like from an outside perspective, knowing that all of this stuff that's happening to her is not healthy and is really terrible, but her as a child, like being dependent on her mom and like not realizing how a lot of things were unhealthy and how her mom encouraged a lot of that unhealthy behavior. I mean, huge trigger warning for eating disorders, because that is something that she deals with. And honestly, a lot of like emotional manipulation too. Her mom had like bipolar disorder. I don't know if it was ever like officially confirmed, but that's definitely what she seems to present as. And I know Jennette McCurdy at a couple times says like, you know, I'm not the only one who can fake tears, and like her mom would just like switch in an instant between like being proud of her and being awful to her. And it was interesting too, like, you know, she like is growing up and has all of these disorders and like all of this awful stuff happens, and then her mom dies. But like her mom is like her entire purpose in life. Like she thinks that her purpose is to make her mom happy, because that's how her mom like raised her to be, was to like fulfill her own dreams instead of Jennette's. And so like her purpose in life is to make her mom happy, and then her mom dies and she's like, I don't know how to handle this. And I like, you can watch everything like deteriorate, and it was so hard to like watching her like go to therapy, like try something in therapy, but then like it doesn't work or something else happens or whatever, and she like goes back into a bad cycle. And you're just like, oh, your heart breaks for her, because you're like, I want you to get better and I need you to like get out of these unhealthy cycles and stuff. But like, it's so hard. And I feel like the writing was really well done. Like there was, especially in the beginning, it was a lot of like innocent type thinking, because she's so young and doesn't know any better. But then like as she gets older, she gets like, you know, mad at her mom. And I like too that like there wasn't a lot of language in the beginning of the book, and then like as she gets older and she gets more mad at her mom for like the way that things are, she like starts throwing in some language, which I actually kind of thought was really cool. I have seen the first 2 full seasons of iCarly, and there was like I've seen other like random episodes, but I was never like a huge fan. But it was crazy like seeing how that fame like impacted her so much, and how she like hated being the role that she had. I was really glad to see though that her and Miranda Cosgrove are still good friends, and like that she at least like had a friend with her through that, because a lot of the stuff she went through, like she's going through alone, because nobody else understands what it's like for her. So yeah, it was insane and crazy and like well written, and I don't know. I'm also glad that it's like something that she's able to like talk about now too, and like I'm glad that she didn't gloss over like how hard therapy was, and like how it was like in fits and starts of like her healing, where it was like she had something that her therapist said was like, don't let a slip become a slide. You know, when she would like slip up and things, and then you have all that like internalized shame with like, oh, I did it again kind of a thing. And he was like, it's okay, like it was a slip, but just don't let it become like a slide back into that. And I thought that was really cool, like, because it's not easy. Like nothing about therapy is easy, and I just think it was really cool that she was able to like be honest about a lot of that stuff, where it was like, yeah, I tried this, or you know, it was like she went to one therapist and it was one session, and she's like, yeah, no, not doing that. And then it was like another therapist, and they were doing it for like 4 months, and it was good, or like better, but like then she slid, and then she like gave up, and she's like, I can't do this anymore. And then like the other therapist, where she like was able to like actually keep working and keep moving forward. Yeah, I don't know, it was insane to read about. Crazy that nobody else in her life like stepped in to stop her mom from doing what she did, or I don't know if it was just nobody else saw or what, but yeah, it was crazy. I'm glad I read this. I don't think I will ever read it again because it is really heavy and hard to digest, but insanely amazing and would recommend it to everyone because it's really good. Alright, and then for the final section, we have my favorite thing, which is my food for thoughts for each book that I read, except for, I decided that I'm not going to fill these don't really work for nonfiction, so I don't have one for that. But if you're new here, my wonderful friend Kat made a reading journal and for me, and in the back there's questions for each book that I read in the year. So we will choose a question from each book and I will read it just for fun. So for Shadow and Bone, one of the questions is, if you could have any one skill from one character, who would it be and why? And what would it be and why? I said in Inferni, the ability to summon fire would be so cool. I just think it's neat. And I think out of all the Grisha abilities, that would be the coolest one for me. Ooh, for Season Storm, we have which character had the best or most quotable lines? Nikolai, for sure, both in the deep quotes and in the funny ones. He does have a lot of like funny, quippy lines too, but he also has some really great, like, actually deep ones. And you're like, what? Where did that come from? So, Nikolai for sure. Alright, for Ruin and Rising, we have, actually, if all the characters were in the Hunger Games, who do you think would be Victor and why? So I said, I think Nikolai, through planning and charm, he reminds me of Finnick in a way. Just in that, like, he is always thinking 5 steps ahead of everyone else. He has plans set in motion for when things fall apart. He's always inventing things and looking to try new skills, so I feel like he would do well in the Hunger Games. Ooh, okay, so the next one is The Empty Grave. And it says, how well would the characters do if they had carry on without the main character? And I put, not well, in all caps. I said, honestly, if Lucy or Lockwood or George died, it would just not go well. They already freaked out when George got attacked in this book. Them dying? Terrible. This is the kind of, like, found family, like, interconnected dynamic that just would not survive well if somebody died in it. You know, you could kind of say, like, oh, Lucy's the main character because she's a narrator, or Lockwood's the main character because it's his company and the series is called Lockwood & Co. and whatever. But then, like, if either of them died, like, it would not go well, and if George died, it would be awful. Like, they all need to be together. And then for Catching Fire, we have, which character surprised you the most? Was it good or bad kind of surprise? And I said, on the reread, I think Peeta, because he's so much more responsible and hardened than I gave him credit for before. Because, yeah, he survived the Hunger Games just like Katniss did. And, you know, he has, like, his paintings where he paints the things in the arena and that they went through, and his nightmares. And then also, like, I forgot because this wasn't in the movie, but when they announce what the Quell is going to be, Peeta's like, all right, we're going to train, and we're going to actually, like, be careers this time. And it was him that made that decision and forced Katniss and Haymitch into that training regime and not anyone else. So I think sometimes he can kind of have the reputation of being like, oh, the soft one, the boy with the bread or whatever. But it's like, no, he's a survivor too. And he is also very smart. Just hardened by his circumstances. Not in the same way necessarily that Katniss is, but he still knows how to make do in this world, I think. But yeah,